Hey, you guys, how's it going? Oh man, so frustrated this morning. I have no idea if this is gonna work for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or not work at all or not. But
Without the ones like you working tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly
sorry, I
stop.
gotta close another
No
internet
matter
window
your
just a
industry,
sec.
Granger's here for you with professional grade supplies. Call.
Anyways, yeah, man. Sometimes you get to venues and it's like there's 10 internet networks and then nothing works, and you're like, how do you guys live with no internet? Modern first world problems, I guess. But it's bizarre. I got online, I did speed tests. It's like 200 megabyte per second download. Great, everything's cool. And then, like 2 minutes before I'm supposed to go live with you guys, the internet dies. Nobody knows how to restart the router, that kind of thing. Anyways, I'm at a music school in Michigan, and it's like super rural. It's actually very pretty. I'm out by a lake and stuff like that. But we got here this morning. There was no running hot water, and the internet and everything else. It's just like it's just the last day of tour, and it's like time to go home. It's funny, man. When you're home, it's like there's these little like simple things like hot water and working internet that you just take for granted every day, right? And then when you don't have them and you're supposed to do things, because I take this thing seriously. I like to be here at 11:15 to 11:45 or whatever it is, Pacific time, every Sunday on time and hang out with you guys. And when you can't do it, it's just like, really? It's like, what is the deal? So, anyways, just frustrating. Michael says, I hate technology. I know. And today's going to be short. I can only hang for like 30 because if this is working, great. I mean, I'm on the bus Wi Fi right now, which is just like a cellular network, essentially. And it was looking like it was really slow this morning. But if it works, great. I'll hang for 30, and then I got to go do sound check because I'll have to go back in the building. We got a 3 o'clock sound check today. So, anyways, crazy day. What are you guys doing? What's going on out there? What's happening? What are you talking about? What's going on in the world? We finished our last gig yesterday with Bare Naked Ladies in Delamitri, and it was sad. It was like actually because it was so much fun, So it was a sad day, kind of. The second to last day was super fun, and then you get to the last day and it's like, oh, this is it. Such nice guys. We had such a good time. And yeah. 30 minutes, says Joe. Yeah, I know. Well, unfortunately, I'm at the whim of if I leave this bus, the internet goes off, so I wouldn't be able to do it in there anyway. And then I'm at the whim of sound check, which is at 3 today because we're headlining, and is what it is. Have you tried those API pedals? I tried the compressor and the preamp boost pedal, and I really like the compressor pedal. It's an EQ too. I tried that. The EQ is cool. The compressor is really, really nice. I did a little quick little video on my IG, and I might have uploaded it, I think, to YouTube Shorts too, so you can hear the compressor and the EQ on there. Ever play a Naylor Super Drive? Yeah, I have. I actually really liked it. It's got a unique kind of smooth drive sound that is really fun, like big single notes. I know Friedman is a big fan of them, and he designed an amp that he made briefly or in very small numbers, the Naked amp, which is an amp that Billy Howard L from Perfect Circle used quite a bit. And anyways, let's see what else we got here. Join Northern Michigan. I have been. It was nice. I walked down the lake. I set this whole live stream up for inside earlier, and it was all ready to go, and the internet looked like it was fine. And then you get to the moment when you got to go live. If I wasn't in the woods right now, I'd just be able to do it on cellular on my phone. But I got no T-Mobile. We got a Verizon router or whatever on the bus that seems like it's got a little bit of internet anyway. So that's how I'm talking to you now. Yeah. So we're headed back home pretty quick tomorrow. This time I won't be home basically. And some Pete is better than no Pete. Thanks. Yeah, thanks you guys for bearing with me on the weird times and I know the show's not the same and stuff when I'm out here. It's not as probably exactly what you come to the channel for. Um, as when I'm home and in the studio and can do it there on a more controlled circumstance and stuff. So, um, but I guess it's a do the best you can situation while you're out here and stuff. I've been thinking a lot about the channel actually and what people watch my channel for, and that kind of thing, like what videos people seem interested in and other ones that people don't. And every YouTube channel has that, I think, like what people come to you for, and what I've come to realize is actually I think people come watch my channel for the guitar tones, but also and some educational stuff, but also the tunes at the beginning of the songs. That's the main thing that I think my channel was built on, was the sort of guitar and guitar sounds, guitar parts used in a musical context. And when I don't do that, it seems like it detracts from the channel a little bit, but that's hard to do while I'm out here, but you try and do the best you can, I guess. When can we get those Pete Thorn amps for Tone X? Soon. I got to get them. I have to make one more capture to complete the pack, because there was one that was supposed to be done that I didn't. It's a long story, but it was just one capture that I got to do to complete a full pack when I get back to LA, and then I'm going to upload them to their site, and people will be able to get them from the official Tonex sort of store sites. Yeah, that's my plan. What are you guys talking about? Let's see. Noodling on my Mustang while watching Pete. What guitars y'all playing today? Well, I'm gonna play my Sirs in a few minutes. Get on with my. I'm gonna use my Mac Mull tonight because we're gonna play a song. Mac Mull. We're gonna play a song that I'm playing slide on, so I'm gonna tune it to quasi, where you drop the E string to D, and then you got the top 4 strings are like open G. So, what's the next gig? Next gig's home. I'm gonna go do the home gig. Now the next gig really is. Let me see. I'm going to Newfoundland next month to do a clinic. One of my production and songwriting clinics at a church that was purchased by Greg Wells, producer, did Adele and a million other things. He used to play with Kim Mitchell, and he's a producer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist extraordinaire. He bought a church way out in kind of rural Newfoundland, and he's doing music stuff there, concerts, clinics. There's an educational aspect to it, and just it's called Trinity Church, and it's this great music venue. So I'm going to go there and do my clinic, and they're going to bring me out there for this 2-day seminar. I guess we're going to do it as I'll do my typical sort of songwriting production clinic that I've done before, if you've ever seen me do one. And then we're going to do kind of a songwriting critique the next day, where we listen to demos and stuff and listen to what people bring in. It should be a lot of fun. So I'll do a little bit of promo for that as soon as I get back. I'm going to make a video for it and stuff, because it's not that far away. It's about a month away now. But if you happen to be in Newfoundland. And then after that, I'm actually going to do a really fun video in early September in Texas with Hoagie from Comet Amps. He's involved with they've got all these vintage train wrecks, and it's in Texas somewhere. And I'm gonna come out and do a day where we shoot a video of a whole bunch of vintage, like a Liverpool Express. I say a whole bunch. There's probably 3 or 4, but that's a lot of train wrecks in one place at once. And so that's gonna be really fun. So that's in September, and yeah. So, and other than that, I got a whole bunch of work to do for YouTube and stuff when I get home. So, yeah. Let's see. Hey, we all got to work. It's true. We all got to work. It's true. Tusk versus bone. What do you prefer? It depends on the guitar. There's a part of me that thinks that like a Tusk nut or a graphite nut, sure, they might help tuning stability to some degree, or even to a great degree. But if they're not cut right, then it doesn't seem to matter. And in my experience, a good bone nut that's cut properly seems great. Like, so the slippery thing is one thing, and then how the nut slots are cut is so important. How the strings travel through the nut is so important to whether or not there's any binding, as well as the material of the nut. So I will take a properly cut, really good bone nut over a, just kind of okay graphite any day, because I've had tuning binding problems with tusk or graphite that's not quite right. And I've had bone nuts, like I had a bone nut cut for my Les Paul Custom by a guy in Japan, and he did the nut was a problem before on the guitar. He cut it out of bone, did a beautiful job, and then it was like transformed. Like the tuning stability was so much better when he angled the slots just right, cut them just right. So there's more to it than just material, and there's something to be said probably for bone, the sound of the, I would think. Now that said, I've got the graphite style or tusk, I guess, nuts on my signature Sir guitars, and I'm pretty picky and kind of on making sure that I like them cut real low. The only problem with cutting a nut low, and especially if you got a tremolo guitar and if it's graphite, the material is a little softer, I think, and it will wear, and you'll end up with some buzz after a couple years. You'll find, oh, all of a sudden, why is my A string buzzing? It's just that constant, if you use the bar and there's that grind over it, it will wear. So it's a bit of an issue. So yeah. Sorry, I'm just answering a text about work. So, okay, there's Ben. Any interview segments coming up? Love the one you did with Richie. More with Tim. I do have something coming with Tim really soon, actually, in a couple weeks, and we're going to announce something that's kind of cool. So that's coming up pretty quick. I think it could even be next week that they do it. If not on Sunday Live, if not next week, we'll do it the following week, beginning of August. Yeah, I think we had scheduled something, but I think it's more like first week of August. So the next Sunday, 2 weeks from today, I think will be the Sunday Live, where I'm actually going to have Tim on. We're going to talk about something. So that should be pretty cool, because we haven't gotten together in a little while. And I love Tim. I miss the dude. Okay. What else we got? Let's see. It's for free. We can't complain. It's always nice to see someone talking about guitars with passion. Always positive. Thanks, man. Yeah, I get, I just, I was frustrated before I got on here, but instantly I'm feeling better now that I'm here with you guys, and it seems to actually be working on the bus. I should have maybe just done this anyway. I get paranoid when I run a speed test and it seems really slow, but to their credit, StreamYard, the software I use for this, seems to be so good at buffering. It's the best case scenario as far as buffering, and it'll kind of throttle the internet in a way that keeps the stream going. So if it cuts out, it's because it's really bad. Looking for cool available places to stay in Tokyo and Kyoto in October, places to eat. I would stay in Shibuya in Tokyo, because it's really fun and there's a ton of stuff you can walk to. There's a hotel I think it's called Section L, like the letter L. If you can find one of those in Shibuya, I stayed in one a little while ago, and by a little while I mean 4 years ago. That was the last time I was there. It's nice and it's not too expensive, and there's a little breakfast and stuff, and it's cool, and it's also really close to, if there's still, Shibuya's transformed a little bit since I was there. There was a lot of construction right around the station, so it's probably going to look very different the next time I go, but it was really close to the great guitar shops like the Ikibe and Key Music and stuff. I'm not sure what's there right now, and if the hotel's, even if it's probably still there, but there's a street in Shibuya that runs from the train station, and it's kind of over the freeway, and then there's a street that goes up, and well, you won't, if you're going now, you won't see it, but it's this beautiful street full of cherry blossoms trees, and that's right where this Section L hotel is. None of this means anything to you if you haven't been there, but it's it's a nice place to stay because if you're right there where I'm talking about, there's a lot to do and stuff, but yet it's kind of somewhat isolated and hey, and you know, John just walked in. He's like getting ready for sound check. Oh, not at all, not at all. So anyway, but I would stay there, and then Kyoto I don't know as well. I've been to Kyoto once, but I only was there for an afternoon. You're super close to Osaka though, so you're basically like 15-20 minute on the Shinkansen, the train, the bullet train from Osaka. So you know, you can opt to stay in Osaka and then just day trip to, you know, on a super short train ride if you want to Kyoto, or you could stay there. I just don't know anywhere to stay there in particular. And Osaka's a blast. It's fun. But anyway, the hotel that I end up staying a lot in there, if I go for gigs, is the Excel in Shibuya, which is right Hachiko Crossing and right in the center of everything. And there's a lot of, I mean, endless stuff to do, restaurants and stuff. It's just a great neighborhood to branch out of. You're right there with all the trains and the subway, every subway line. I mean, you can get anywhere from there. You won't be disappointed if you stay there, I don't think. You know, another thing to note is it's also very safe, so there's no worry about anything like that. It's one of the most safe countries in the world, so even though it's busy and urban and stuff, you need not be, you know, worried about being like in a place that's not a safe place. In Japan, so you know, walk around in the middle of the night no matter who you are, and you're just fine. So my niece Hurt says I got a greenback and vintage 30 this week. Cool. Slowly building a speaker cabinet. Should be able to install them today, but don't have wire. You can get lamp cord for that, for speaker cable. Buy it at the hardware store. But yeah, you might want to go get some speaker wire. Any plans to do a video on the recent Bogner amp? Not that I know of. I've never done anything really with Bogner other than the pedals, which I'm happy to do. But yeah, Tim Pierce praised your Tonex tutorial. Kudos to you. I love Tim, my old buddy. He's a good man. You have a 12 string, says Lauren. Yeah, I have a couple of Dan Electros. My favorite one being the kind of double cutaway classic 2 lipstick tube, you know, the sort of composite body material one that I have. And then I have another one that's a semi-hollow that's got a Wilkinson trim, a double lipstick tube in the bridge, along with a sort of P90 looking pickup in the neck, or Jazzmaster maybe pickup. That's pretty cool. But I like the other one more. The 12 that I have that has the dual P90, or sorry, the dual lipstick tube and the P90, it's more, looks like my baritone that you guys see all the time. I love that one. I just like the tone of the original one with the 2 lipstick tubes. And it plays really good, tunes up really good. Yeah. All right, I'm sort of far back in the chat. I'm gonna move down a little here. What do you think of the big deal Nuno made about, Richard made about Nuno's comment about Slash? Well, not having, now we're 3 people removed because I didn't read the original comment, but I think Richard said, I respectfully disagree. I don't think he made it didn't seem like he made a big deal. It seemed like he just said, I respectfully disagree. Like it would be something he could say to his Nuno's face. It probably wouldn't bother him. You know, I do think it's, I guess I should read the original, you know, before I comment, I should read whatever Nuno said, you know. But I don't know that, you know, I think he's sort of making an assumption that that Slash wouldn't be versatile, that he would be sort of a Slash guitar player, one trick pony, does what Slash does, but we don't always see every side of a musician from what you see them do on stage. You know, for example, like Sting, I know when he plays bass generally on his concerts, but he warms up backstage playing Bach on a classical guitar. So, right, you know, yeah, you don't always see every aspect of what people can do from
I mean, like look at the Bare Naked Ladies tour, like with Ed playing drums or
right.
Jim playing jazz guitar every day.
Yeah, John saying there's John. He's just saying he's saying that Bare Naked Ladies guys, Jim practices jazz guitar. Ed plays drums as well, and these are things that you might not. Like, Ed actually does it in the show, but the first time we saw him do it, it's like, oh, who knew? So I think Nuno's making an assumption about Slash, and Richard just was having his friends back. This is a discussion about Nuno Betancourt, the guitar player from Extreme, who's a great guitar player. He's an amazing guitar player. He also tours with Rihanna sometimes as their touring guitar player. And he made a comment saying, not very many people could do this gig. And maybe people took it as sort of like a self-inflating sort of, but he was saying, I don't even think Slash could do this gig, And we don't know, because like, what does Slash do? Slash might sit at home and play classical piano. We don't know, I'm not, Richard was like, oh, no, disagrees.
I remember some of your older fans.
Yeah.
I'll remember Rudy Sarzo.
Yeah.
Quiet Riot, Ozzy,
Yeah.
White Snake. Bass player running around licking his guitar, and the guy was like a closet Barry Manilow fan. He could play Barry Manilow
on piano.
Yeah, he's like, you just never know. Some people become successful at one thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like 5 for 5, and the piano ballads, but we're really a rock band.
There's Mr. Hurley.
Really,
there you go.
But you never know.
You never know. Yeah.
All things.
I was saying Sting warms up playing Bach pieces on classical guitar, right? And then goes out and plays bass all night. You don't think of him as a guitar player. He was a totally capable guitar player. He ran. So, probably not the. I didn't read it in context, but I'll tread lightly and say maybe Nuno just would consider that maybe Slash is far more of a versatile guitarist than he knows, So I'm actually, Slash is, to give him props, he's a guitar player that I think continued to evolve beyond what he's known for doing in the 80s. When I see him live now and soloing and stuff, I think he's growing actually as a and whatever he does in the context of the music that he makes it just might not tell the whole tale, I don't think. So anyways, what else you guys talking about? Let's see. When you're playing with the QC, do you find yourself missing a tube amp? Honestly, my right away I want to go yes, but I actually haven't been, especially not within the context of what we're doing. Talking about my processor that I use, the quad. I don't I love the sound. It's like I actually really enjoy the sound. So I always love tube amps, but it really, it feeds back in a way that's musical, and it does things that I like. So, and in the PA it sounds great. So
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, on stage, there are times when the sound man will ask you to turn down your volume.
Right.
You're always very respectful about that.
Yeah.
Have you always been, or is it still like kind of annoying deep down, especially when you're not on ears?
Right.
So it affects kind of your feeling and what you're hearing.
Well, so John, I hope you guys can hear. He's just asking about turning down on stage and if that bothers me, and was I always, because I'm cool about it, when the sound guy says, can you bring it down a little bit? The only problem when it's a dilemma is if you're at the end of sound check and they're like, hey, I'm gonna need you to come down a bit, and you're like, but I just did the whole, now I'm gonna come.
Did the other night.
Yeah. As long as I can play another song,
right?
Then I could be like, give me a bit more in the wedge and I'll make it work, But no, I want it to sound good up front. It's just, a lot of the guys in the chat right now are going to feel the pain of being asked to turn down. And many times if you're on a club stage and you're right on top of the drums, the snares right there and the cymbals, and you're like, okay, but if I do that, I can't hear myself at all. But out front, your cab's beaming, and the people in the crowd are getting so there's always you get the anxiety of then I'm not going to be able to play as well is the thing that, it's, at least that's the way I like to think of it, that it's not an ego thing or just I need to be louder than everything. It's like, well, now I'm not going to be able to do my thing if I can't hear,
Well, you sometimes move your cabs closer to you if you're on a big stage.
Yeah, or if somebody or angle them, you know, is an answer to that. Like if you've got, because they're on the ground, so if they're close to you, you can always angle them up, and then they hit your ears more directly. So there's always a solution. I try and just work, because if he's, you know, Chris is super cool. He obviously likes guitar, sound guy, gets great guitar sound in the PA. So if he says something about it being a problem, I'm always like, when I hear his mix, it's always lots of guitar. And if he's like, yeah, I'm having trouble getting you in the PA, well, I don't want that, because I know he's a guitar fan.
Right.
So it's like, I guess it's a different thing if you get the sense of, like, you guys probably have this happen where it's like, you get the sense the sound guy just doesn't like guitar. It's like, no, turn that off. And then you hear a board mix. It's like, I'm buried, you know.
Right.
And then it's like, but the great thing about the rig, actually, because the question was originally, do I find myself in this end? The great thing is that it sounds the same at any volume. So, I mean, I could run no cabinets on stage, and I know in the PA it still sounds exactly the same. So that's the beauty. There's absolutely no difference. So as long as I can hear it, then I'm good. You know? Today, we got a different situation today with a small PA, and we've got plexi up around the drums because the venue we're playing and stuff. So today, I know he's going to ask me to turn down, but I'm actually going to suggest I angle my cabinets too, so that I'm not beaming into the, you know. So there's always all those solutions. You know? Yeah. As I got older, I'm more mellow about everything. Yeah. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it, I don't think. Yeah. Lots of questions about this Nuno and Richard fiasco. I'm sure those guys are buds and know one another, you know. I'm sure he was just saying, I disagree, and I got Slash's back, you know. I'm good friends with Richard, actually, and I spoke to him just yesterday. One of the crew people from Taylor from BNL is going to Guns N' Roses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I
Cool.
texted Richard from Guns N' Roses yesterday, like, hey, there's a, you know, this nice girl, she works in production, she's headed your way, everybody be nice to her.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah. So I let her know, you know. But yeah, Richard's a great guy. I think, you know, Richard's just a stand-up guy. He's like he's the other guitar player in Guns.
Yeah.
You know, and he's a amazing guitar player, and he's just got his friends back. That's all it was. I don't think it's a big deal. Did I miss a super chat? I think I may have. I'm gonna go. There's one. I'm gonna go down to the bottom of the chat here. I'm gonna have to go pretty soon because I think we've got checks. Sorry guys, this one was short today, but at least it worked. I was panicked for a minute that it wasn't gonna work at all. Let's see. Doing hot wings tonight, says Smartree. Hot wings tonight. Did hot wings last night. I think it might have come back to haunt me this morning. That's all we'll say. Never turn down. Make them turn up, says music is life. Well, that was the 60s. Or the 70s, right? Thanks for the super chat, man. Appreciate it. What else you guys talking about? Let's see. Have you heard of Eric Steckel? He's the fellow that plays PRS, right? I have. I've seen a little bit of him. I don't know him. I've never met him, but he's like a kind of full bore blues player, right? That plays PRS. Seen him a little bit. And Bogner, right? Bogner guy. I've been buried, says Paul, in the mix, playing bass many times, even in smallish clubs, but somehow always seemed to be plenty of room for kick drum of doom. Yeah, it's like the mix where you go hear the kick drum or tons of sub, and then there's like lots of vocal, and then there's the mid range is like carved out, and there's no like, where's the band? I can see that guy playing, but I can't hear it. You know? Yeah, that's always I'm like, does that sound like a record if you close your eyes? I don't think so. That's it. I just want to sound like a mix, you know, like where you can hear everybody. The fellow we've had out doing sound is awesome. He's a terrific sound guy, and it's a really balanced, and like the two mixes I've heard in the PA and everything that, you know, sound really good. So we're lucky. Yeah, Nerd Halen says Nuno belittled him. Did he? I don't know. I'm trying to tread lightly. I don't want to add. Anytime I offer too strong an opinion about something like that, I always get people that'll come back and say, you took it out of context, or you need to look at what he said, or, you know, that kind of thing. And so I don't want to, you know, Nuno's a rock star. You know, great guitar player, awesome guitar player. I've met him maybe once, you know, but he's probably got an ego like a lot of rock stars, you know. That's all, you know. And sometimes, like in an interview, that can, I don't know, you'll say something and maybe in print it looks different than it came out, and it's always like a little amplified. And you've probably run into that.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, if you talk, you know, 10,000 times, you know, there's a couple quotes you may want to have back.
Right. Yeah. Do a bunch of interviews, and you learn probably where to go, where to, Well, and I guess that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm like, oh, I'll read it in context later, and then get back to me in a week. You know, a sideman gig, you know, okay, let's play devil's advocate. A sideman gig does require you to do things that I think a lot of, if you're a rock star guitar player, that, you know, whatever the stereotype is, that you're a stylist and you do your one thing. Maybe he was just saying he thought that the cleaner, funky aspects or something like that wouldn't be Slash with a Les Paul and a distorted Marshall's Trip, you know. And then I was sort of saying, yeah, but maybe he does more than that we don't see behind the scenes, you know. Maybe he works on different styles or things that aren't part of his Guns N' Roses and solo persona. So Nuno was probably just trying to say that in a way that came off a little brash, maybe, or something. So Richard also has played with Rihanna, so that he was saying, I'm uniquely qualified to talk about this because I've played with both Slash and Rihanna. So he did the gig before Nuno. So I think he gotta have your bandmates back. Yeah, they're like a gang. It's like a gang.
It is. Or a team, you know, locker room.
Or team.
The tour bus is a locker room, you know.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting thing about being in bands, that even like bands that might fight, they fight like brothers, you know, where they still come together, and, you know, often. I mean, obviously there's plenty of examples where that ain't the case, but, you know, I think, you know, Van Halen was probably like that, where, you know, Dave, and they could be at odds or whatever, but I bet they had each other's backs when it came down to the four of us against the world, you know, kind of thing. You know, so it's interesting. Oh, we got rain.
I think we're inside.
A little rain, yeah. Rest in peace, Tony Bennett. Absolutely, 96 years old. Did anybody listen to his last album? He did it when he was 90. It's got some duets with Lady Gaga. It's beautiful. It's good. It's such a good listen if you haven't. I guess he was struggling with Alzheimer's, which I didn't know. And 96 is a life well lived, you know, and Alzheimer's is no walk in the park. So, you know, when these things happen, I think he lived a great life, and it was probably time, you know, for it's no. I'll tell you, I don't want to drag on for put me on a boat and float me out to sea when if I start fading. See you later. It's been good. Yeah. Well, I wonder if we should 3. Are we waiting for Seth, or?
Yeah, I think we're kind of waiting.
Okay.
Close, but I don't think they're quite waiting.
Yeah, we'll. Let's see here. He belittled Richard in his response and said he never heard him. Really? Okay. Well, that makes me mad.
Strike everything I said.
Man. Nuno's a great guitar player, but Richard's a great guitar player. And now we got to have a guitar battle.
Have a guitar off. Put him in a cage with 2 guitars. Only one man survives.
Guitar war. Richard Fortas against Nuno Bettencourt. I like it. It's funny. I don't know, man. It's like there was an element of in the 80s, if we, you know, of this competitive guitar thing that doesn't really exist anymore. So, and Nuno was right at the tail end of that, coming in 89, 90, 91, 92, whenever he rose to popularity. But like guitar players used to talk smack about each other all the time in interviews. Yeah, this guy and that guy. What do you think of this guy? Ooh, they're all, you know. I mean, not to pick on him, but like Ingve would be like that. Like, do you like any new guitar players? And you'd be like, it's all terrible, or you know, say things like that. I listen to, you know, Paganini. That's that's where I draw my inspiration. Not all the guitar players now. Their tone is like mush or whatever you would say. But there was a lot of the other guys, like in all the bands, the '80s kind of hair bands and stuff. There was a lot of sort of smack talking going on. So I think it's just a holdover from that. But I don't think Slash is probably laughing about the whole thing pretty hard. Slash does not care.
Slash will love the publicity.
Yeah.
He thinks, you know, he's a businessman.
He's a businessman,
Yeah.
and he's doing just fine.
Yo, yeah.
Yeah, he's doing just fine. So yeah, he's like right on, Nuno.
Guitar players in the world do like non-music fans know their name when the people say it.
Right, and Slash that's a good point. Yeah, John says how many guitar players in the world, you know, are a household name, and Slash is definitely the Guitar Hero game. That was really smart.
Yes.
That was because then like all these people, you know, the guy with the top hat and the like, if they did kids, it's like rock guitar player. He was like, he's almost branded himself again. Like
Smart marketing, man.
Yeah.
A lot of becoming very successful has nothing to do with your talent. It has to do with other things.
Yeah, that's good advice. So John says a lot of being successful has to do with other things, right?
Besides talent. Yeah, talent's like maybe 10%.
Talent's 10%.
You got to be a businessman. You got to be a marketer. You got to be a psychologist. You have to have some humility. You have to be smarter than the average bear, and you got to have the will that everybody else doesn't have. A lot of people who are much more talented than me, you know, have not had, you know, songs people know, and it goes way beyond kind of just your skill set. And I think Slash is a good example of building this brand.
Yeah.
It's very lucrative, but also gives some opportunities to play and to do different projects and kind of pick and choose what he wants to do, which is very kind of rare in this business.
Yeah. Michael Jackson, or you know, the different things he's done. 100%. Yeah, where he just did a solo on a Demi Lovato song too.
Right.
Yeah. You know, he's in a great position. Yeah. I'll tell you a story about Slash. I got to play with him once, and it was at a Music Cares event in Los Angeles, and it was with Matt Sorum and Beth Hart singing, and we played. I don't remember what songs we did, to be honest. We did a GNR. We might have done a GNR song. I can't remember, but we did a couple sort of like bluesy kind of Beth's an amazing singer, you know.
Yeah.
And so she was singing, and I remember running the tunes. We did one; it sounded great. It's kind of an easy song, whatever it was. We did the second one; it was a little more complicated. We got through it once, and it was really good. And then Slash was like, "Let's do it one more time." And we played it one more time. It was somebody made a small mistake. We got a little turnaround going to the bridge. Everybody recovered, played it out. It was great. It was like, and I remember, you know, somebody saying, we'll be fine on the gig. You know, and Slash goes, "Let's not get too confident. Let's do it one more time." And I was like,
Professional.
yeah. I was like, that's really cool. You know? And he was very like, yeah. So to his credit, he might not be the first guy you would think that was, yeah, we'll be fine, man. Let's go party. No,
Right.
no, you know, he was like working hard that day. I was impressed, you know. So, and that's great advice from you about the, you know, thank you for that. Yeah, that there's so much more at stake and at play. Okay. Different subject. Jim says we need newly designed guitar speakers and cabs that have much wider sweet spot. Have to keep moving around or sitting down to get in a sweet spot. You know, there's this guy. Oh, it's really raining outside. No. There's this guy that designed a diffuser thing that I never in a million years would have thought would work, but it was this plastic kind of wavy stuff that you put under your cab, and then it came up a little bit and then had these waves in it. And I thought, what is this gimmick? And I tried it, and it was unbelievable. It just dispersed the sound from the cabinet. So you might look for that, like guitar speaker cabinet dispersion device, something like that. You'll find it was made in Europe. And this guy brought it to my studio to show me, and I didn't have high hopes, and then I was like knocked out at how well it actually worked. It was pretty amazing. So look for that. It looks a little funny because it's this piece of plastic that's coming out, but it totally works though. it just took the beam and spread the sound. You could stand off axis and hear the cabinet much better. I was really impressed. So really cool. Okay, I'm gonna move down in the chat. We've got almost 300 people online. That's awesome. Thanks you guys for. And I'm glad it's working. It's working with the Verizon internet on the bus. So even though I know it's slow. Yon says that not a big fan of Nuno's music, but he's a monster of a guitar player. He is a monster guitar player, and he's a great singer. You know, to his credit as a musician, he's great. Extreme, More Than Words was like and Wholehearted. That was they wrote a couple pop songs that were like that nailed it home, because those are the ones they were known for more than the rock stuff was great, but they would be on the level of mini rock bands that people don't talk about as much anymore if they hadn't had those 2 hits that totally broke through. So those guys can write songs, no doubt about it, that really connect, Not that there's anything wrong with the rock stuff either, but you know what I mean. I liked Wholehearted. That was my favorite song by them. I thought that was a beautiful tune. Great chorus. Yeah. Okay. Just going through your questions and stuff. Slash is a great guy also, says Raymond. Authentic human being. Yeah, he struck me as quite authentic. He was kind to me when I played with him. I was just playing acoustic guitar on the gig. He played all the electric, but I remember I went to his house, a house in Bel Air. I went to the house and I sat with him on the couch and played the tunes before Beth came over with a keyboard. I remember before she got there, we just sat together and played on the couch, and I played acoustic, and he said very quietly, he goes, "Your strumming sounds perfect." Under the, and he was like full, the like wife beater at a leather pants and the whole 9 yards.
Really?
Like, yeah, at like
God.
like 1 PM or whatever. Didn't have the hat, but
That would have been a little.
busted the hat out. Yeah, busted the hat out at the show. Well, he was cool. I got good friends that play in his band for many years. My buddy Brent Fitz, who I've known since he was 17 years old, he was his drummer forever, and Todd Kearns and those guys. I love those guys. Super chat there from Peter. Thanks for the weekly informative entertainment. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Preston says Slash probably having a smoke and a giggle and glad he's not in a pop band. Beholden to, I don't know, whatever that, I'm sure the Rihanna gig is great. Like, I think Nuno's done it for a long time, probably for a reason. I'm sure her show's fantastic, and I've never seen her live. I don't know. All right. Peter says, come on, Gear Nerds. People need more likes. Hit that thumbs up. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Jason says, this is cool with John essentially as a guest. He's been so gracious about sharing and, both at sound check, and it was tough at the sound checks because the sound up there was so boomy and stuff. That doesn't really translate to the stream well. So, but we tried, and he was like all about, having at it. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah. Joe says, stop making sense. People say, my niece here, it says, people say Ringo's a bad drummer, but how many albums have those people sold? Ringo's a great drummer, I think. And he's a stylist, but I've probably mentioned this before, so sorry for those that have heard it, but there's a video of the Beatles or a recording. It's just a recording, but you can find it on YouTube. It might be, I saw her standing there, or it might be a different tune. Might be Love Me Do, actually. With Pete Best playing. Now, no slag to Pete Best, but it is a totally different sounding song without Ringo on it. And when you hear it, I can see why George Martin was like, "Hey guys, we got to talk about the drums. We know this guy Ringo plays with who's the band that he played with when because they met originally kind of in Hamburg, I think. They knew Ringo, but then when they all hung in Hamburg because there was the Beatles playing, and then there was that other band. I'm going to screw it up. I don't want to say who it was, but it was another band out of Liverpool doing the cover gig stint in Hamburg. But, yeah. Yep. He's the music wouldn't sound the same without. If you watch I'm sure you watched Get Back, right? The documentary. Wasn't it amazing? I mean, and Ringo just sitting there kind of being a team player the whole time. It's just like, he rarely speaks up and he just kind of contributes, he's just like trying ideas and, while the rest of them are all, he just seemed like he was in a great place. Yeah. Good. There's Randy. You get wet? Randy came in with a towel over his head.
You got shoe shine. Would you text a sentence? You added something.
Let's see what else we got here. I like the story Richard told about John Sykes auditioning for GNR. That's interesting. Yeah, Sykes. I'm a big Sykes fan. He's one of my favorites. Always. Listened to a little bit of him this week. We were listening to Sin City on the bus by AC/DC, and I said, here's the other great song about gambling in Las Vegas by a rock band. And I put on Cold Sweat by Thin Lizzy. So, yeah. Yohan says why he likes Joe Holmes, beast of a guitarist, but always stays under the radar and never says bad things about his colleagues. There's no reason to tear people down ever, and say, there's a way to say something without having to, I agree with that. I mean, you got to be careful, because it's not a big world. It's a small world we live in, this music world, and everybody sees each other. And what's the point of, being, I don't know, it's just, this guy probably couldn't do it, right? If that's what you're trying to say, then that's not cool. So, agreed. Okay. Do smaller speaker cones like 8s and 10s have wider dispersion than 12s? I don't think necessarily wider dispersion. They tend to respond faster. The bigger the speaker, they get a little slower, but dispersion, I don't know about that. They're just a little more instant in their attack, I find, when they're smaller. How similar is northern Michigan to Canada? I mean, geographically pretty similar, I would say. Lakes and, Canada's right there. Let's see. Just looking through some of your other comments. 300 people and 100 likes. Come on, people. Yeah, hit the thumbs up if you don't mind. Next week, of course, I will be back in my studio and doing this regular Sunday live at the usual time, probably 11:45 a.m. So, how was Beth to hang with? I only hung with her that one time, but she was great. She was really sweet. She strikes me as a very honest kind of musician, very, just does her thing and sings like she sings. There's no pretentious anything there. She was cool. I liked her. She's, of course, worked with Jeff Beck and stuff. It was a pleasure to get to play with her.
She did some of the Afghan songs with us.
Oh, Beth did? Yeah. Oh, did she? Yeah, she's cool. I mean, I really like. Todd said it's not called a white beater anymore. It's a muscle shirt. Hey, what do you want to do? I'm gonna say.
You looked great last night.
Yeah. You guys want to see a picture of me with a bra on my head? Let's see what we got here.
Welcome to the last show of
This night.
everything.
There was we came out on stage and there was a lot of bras all over our equipment. Yeah, everywhere. And so we grabbed them and then we used them for other things like that. Tonight it was fun. Would the Soyuz 1973 work well as a live performance guitar mic or just for studio? I think it'll work well. I don't know that much about the polar pattern and how much rejection there is. So that'd be the only thing. But it sure sounds great, and I'd probably like to give it a try as a live mic. I mean, it's going to be mainly for myself. I bought one. I haven't, I literally bought it and then had it sent home, and then I've gone on tour. So I'll have to give it more of a try. Are tube amps a dying breed? No, I mean I still love them. You know, be people that always use them. The last oranges and DeVille and some sort of tweed fender as well. It was tweed basement or I'm not sure what it was, but anyway, they were all tube amps up there. And actually, Bare Naked Ladies was all tube amps. They were just using ISO cabs. So Ringo is amazing. He plays a right-handed setup leading with his left. His creative mind was insane. Yeah, just really creative and musical. That's it. Roy Storm and the Hurricanes. That's the band that he played with before, and the Hurricane, or Hurricanes, before the Beatles. And he was a little bit older, you know. He was like a year or two older, and so they looked up to him. And I think Rory was, bigger than the Beatles at one point in Liverpool. Has anyone heard of Eric Dover? Sure, what he may be up to. I think he became fairly good friends with Slash. Yeah, Eric, he gigs sometimes. He sings with my friend Toshi doing his Van Halen thing, I think. Toshi Inagi from the Kimmel Show. I think he does quite a bit of stuff. Eric was Jellyfish, right? Did he work with Jellyfish? Anyways. Yeah. Nathaniel says, John is an awesome piano player and songwriter. Thank you for all the jams. Got me through some crappy times.
Oh, thank you very much. It's very sweet.
Yeah. Cool. He appreciates that very much. How much of your success do you attribute to natural ability, hard work, luck? You have to be able to play. You know, you have to be able to play the music and remember it and then perform and that kind of thing. So that's just a given, you know, that you have to be musical and practice your craft and things. And then most of it is the stuff beyond that, where you just show up and be a nice person and be easy to work with. And
Can I tell a little story?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
So here's a good example of professionalism and humility. Oh, I just pull your mic out?
No, that's
Oh, it's out. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't want to embarrass Pete, but so on this tour, we were a little bit shorthanded on crew. And we actually had to change out a crew member during halfway through the tour. And so Pete, every night, literally had to go as we were swapping stage to the front of the stage with a couple thousand people there. And he would set his rig, he would tune his guitars, he'd stand there while everybody was, sitting down. And literally he'd come to us like 1 minute before showtime. And then we'd walk off and we'd walk out and do the show. And look, this is Chris Cornell, Pete Thorn, Melissa Etheridge. He's, as at every show, he has his own fans who come and just love to meet him and listen to him. So, Pete's a very successful, top 0.001% of guitar players in the world. But to have that humility to basically, like you're playing in a garage band and go set up your rig and play, for 4,000 or 5,000 people a night. That's what makes it so wonderful to work with him. It's not just, I love watching him play every night. The other night we had actually two screens. You usually have the screens so the lawn can see you, but they were kind of tilted in so we could actually watch from the stage. And a couple of times I got lost watching Pete and I forgot the words and I missed my marks because I just got wowed by his guitar playing. So his guitar playing is stunning every night, but it's that other stuff, the humility and just, the professionalism and the fact that, especially at this age, when you're doing it, you really need to be with your friends. It needs to be a family. There's no divas. We're all on the same team. We're grateful to be doing this. So, having that attitude and professionalism goes such a long way into having a career in this business. And it can be hard to do when you're young and, you kind of have a little fame and fortune. But if you can keep that kind of in the back of your mind, and when you walk off the stage,
You know, you check your ego, you know, at the Guitar Tech, and that's why it's so wonderful to work with Pete, both as a musician and as a person. So sorry to embarrass you on your live stream, but ha ha ha.
It means a lot. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you can see he's a wonderful guy, and you know, thank you. I'll give you that $10 later.
All right, yeah, make it 20. Yeah.
No, something you said is so true too. Once you get to this age, we're all like, there's no like, you're just like, oh,
No drama.
no drama, and you don't worry about like sweating small stuff. Well, that's part of it's true. I had to do a lot of kind of fast changeover, setting up my own rig and stuff. But the main thing that I'm here for is to make sure, like, I just want the gig to be great. I want you to be happy, So the thing that gives me the most anxiety is the gig maybe not being great, because that's the thing that we're, we just want to have a good show. And when you have a good show, it feels so good. So it's like, if you're like, I'm sensing there's going to be something that's going to make this not, like, the potential is there for it to not come off and be as smooth and as fun for all of us as it could be, I'd rather just tackle that. And if that means, it's like, no, you guys know, it's like you just get out and do what you got to do in order to make it good and to be comfortable and to make it a success for everybody, I think, So, but I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, wow, we're running a little late for check, but I should probably go in there pretty soon, you guys, and just see what's going on. On that note, make sure my rig is, make sure everything's working good.
Go set up your rig, Pete.
Yeah, I should go and see. No, we were really fortunate. There's a fellow named Jake who's a really good guitar player as well, but he flew out from LA last minute, and he's been a huge asset to us. So thanks, Jake, for kicking butt. And I think I'll get going and get in there and make sure everything's cool with the rig and stuff. And we got a little bit longer set tonight, and we're gonna do an acoustic song that we haven't done all tour. So I'm gonna go in and check my acoustic too, make sure that line's good. See, this is how I think. Gotta make sure that's all set up and ready to go. But you guys have an awesome week, and I'll be here same time, usual time as usual, usual time as usual next week, which means 11:45.
Same Pete time, same Pete channel.
Same P time.
Same Pete channel.
Same P channel for 278 weeks running now, I think. Yeah, it's been a lot of weeks. Do I look older? A little? So. All right, you guys. Love y'all. Take care. Have a great week. Everybody be nice to one another. Nuno, be nice to Richard. Richard, be nice to Nuno. And everybody, all bow down to Slash. No, I don't know. Take it easy, everybody. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. I appreciate it. See ya.